Hi everyone, this is Ben Songroth from the Learning Technology Center of Illinois, and today we're going to go over some Google Calendar tips and tricks. So the first thing we're going to look at is actually how we can create more than one calendar. So in many cases, some of us will use our own work calendar for things, but then in your position as an educator, you might see a need to have more than one calendar. So for me, I used to be a baseball coach, which meant that I needed to have a separate calendar that I could share with my baseball players. This really helped me out in getting that calendar distributed out to parents of my players, and then also my players, because we were a one-to-one district, so we had Chromebooks. So to do that, it's really actually not too difficult, and we will go ahead and show that right now. So to add a new calendar, you need to look on the left-hand side of your menu bar over here. And when you see this, you're going to scroll down and you're going to find where it says Other Calendars. Next to Other Calendars, you see a plus sign that says Add Other Calendars. That's what we're going to go ahead and select. When you select that, you get another pop-up window. It will have several different options here, but what we want to do is we want to create a new calendar. When we get to this page, we now give our calendar a name. So I'm going to make a baseball calendar. And then you can give it some other information here, but that's all we need to do for right now. We hit Create Calendar. Now that our calendar is created, you see I have the option to configure it down here, or it's on the left side underneath of my other calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to Baseball Calendar, and we're going to explore the calendar settings. Now these are going to be useful for you to know for your own personal work calendar, or personal Gmail calendar, or any calendar that you share with your students. So as I go into my settings over here, you notice I have a list of options, or if I just scroll down, it'll go for me. So when you get to access permissions, this is the first step that we want to discuss. With this calendar, we want to make it available to the public because it's a baseball calendar. So in that case, I want to make sure that all parents have access to it. You might note it when I check that box. Okay, now you notice that it grayed out the second option. The second option is making it available for your domain. So in my instance here, this is going to make it available for my Exploring Ed Tech domain. Your school should show up here. If this box is checked, anyone in your domain will be able to search for and see your calendar. So your calendar settings then, as far as what they can see, would be displayed over here on the right. So right now it says See All Event Details, but I can also change that to only Free and Busy. So if it's set to Free Busy, then all they will see is either, if you have an event, it will just show up as busy, and that would be it. All event details will tell them what that event specifically is. When I want to share this calendar, say with the public, so I want to maybe share this with my baseball parents, I would click this Get Shareable link, and then take this link, copy it, and send it out to them via email for them to add to their own Google Calendar. Down here, as we see Share with Specific People, this is where I'm going to go ahead and add a person if I wanted to share this with them. So if I wanted to share it with my assistant coaches so they could actually have editing rights to that calendar, I would be able to do it from here, which would be a good thing to do for maybe like a fresh soft coach or somebody that's a co-sponsor on an event or anything like that. If you wanted to give students specific sharing permissions of a calendar or editing rights to a calendar, you would do it underneath of Add People. Then if we scroll down a little bit further, you see we have some different options for notifications. These are your general notifications that you can set up. And then these are also different URLs that you can share out to people. Then lastly, if you wanted to delete the calendar, scroll all the way down to delete and hit that. Other than that, that's pretty much your settings for your calendar. So now let's go back to the main calendar view and check out how we add an event. Go ahead and click the back button, and now we have our calendar. So if I wanted to set up an event for next Thursday, a couple ways I can do it. I could either hit this Create button up in the top right-hand corner or left-hand corner of the screen, or I could simply click in the calendar box, and I get this pop-up window here. You'll notice I'm in the month view right now. If I wanted to change that, I can just go up here to the top where it says month, select that, and then I have some different options here, like going all the way down to week, and now I can see my week view. And when I'm in a week view, I have the times of the day set up here. So that's a little more specific when I actually click into an area. Now you see that I clicked next to the 11 a.m. and so it automatically populates my time fields as 11 to 12. Versus when I'm in a month view, it will automatically populate it to be an entire day event. Something to consider. So from here, I can actually put in several different options. but I'm not going to do it from here. I'm actually going to go into more options because this is what's helpful. See kind of the full thing. In the more options area, you see I have a title. So in this instance, I'm going to title this practice. Then I have the date and the times of the event. We'll keep it 11 to 12, but if I want to change it, I could simply select that. Then I also could put it as an all-day event or set it up to repeat on a certain time period. So if you have a weekly reoccurring meeting, you could set this up here. Next, we can add a location, which is great if you have to go places and keep yourself on track. Down here, this is something important to know, where you add a conferencing. So when I add conferencing, I see I have the option for a Hangouts Meet. When I do this, it's going to automatically generate a meeting room through Google Hangouts. Now, if you don't have Hangouts Meet turned on for your domain, you might see just Hangouts there, and that's fine too, because it'll do essentially the same thing. Next, you have your notification set up. Now, if a notification is not enough and you want to maybe get an email, you can just click Add Notification and then change this to email. And now you could have both a pop-up notification and an email notification. We're going to go ahead and remove that one. Next down, you see it says Ben Songrath. So this is telling me what calendar it will be displayed on. So if I wanted this to be on my baseball calendar, I want to make sure that I select my name and change the calendar to baseball calendar. Now what that means is it's going to go to that calendar, so it'll show on my baseball calendar, but it will not show on my personal calendar, which if I'm sharing a practice out with an entire team, that's what I want. Down here, this is going to show if your default visibility for your calendar, so it will show up as busy if you have it, but you could also change that if you wanted to. And then you have your description. So in your description, if you type anything in here and then invite a guest to your calendar, they'll be able to see that description. One thing that's pretty great is if you click on the attachment icon right here, that will open up your Google Drive, allowing you to perhaps select a Google document and add that to your event. So if you want to put a meeting agenda or a list of questions you want to ask, you can place that in there, and any guest you invite to the meeting will be able to see that ahead of time. Over here now, we want to talk about inviting a guest. So what I'm going to do is actually invite a guest. So one of the guests that I'm going to invite is going to be Ryder. And you see I add his name. He shows up in the guest here. And then now if I say, you know what, I want to see if Ryder's actually available at 11 o'clock without having to email back and forth. In order to do that, you can go over to the Find a Time icon here. When I select Find a Time, you notice that my calendar populates here and Ryder's calendar populates here. So that means if Ryder did have an event, it would show up here and I could easily change my time to a different part of the day to accommodate that. So it'll hopefully save you from going back and forth emailing if you're available, not available, that type of a situation. And I can always change the date up here if I need to, which works pretty well. So now I've got my event done and I want to send Ryder the invitation. So what I'm going to do is hit save, send the invite. I have to share the document that I put in the description because it was not already shared with them. So you see this is what this window is for. So I'll go ahead and do that and then invite them. Now that invitation has been sent. So if we go over to Ryder's calendar, you should see there is the event that's pending. It's not blue because it has not been accepted yet, but when he clicks on it, he'll see practice, the Google Hangout, a call-in option for the Google Hangout, the document that I attached, and then what calendar it's currently on. And down here at the bottom it'll say going, and he can select yes, and now it turns blue on his calendar. Back here on my view, I now see when I click on the event and then go to edit the event, now it shows that Ryder has responded yes to the event, which is great, that I know he's coming. And if I click on this, it'll say one guest, one yes, and the green check mark. So that's how you create an event and a calendar inside of Google Calendar. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.